Discover the incredible love story, how a heartwarming blind date forever changed this CEO's life. Jake had always envisioned himself conquering the tech world. He was the quintessential San Francisco entrepreneur, driven by the dreams his mother instilled in him. But beneath that polished CEO exterior was a heart that yearned for more than just success. He understood love, loyalty, compassion, and community, but ambition often choked those values in the bustling city of dreams. On a rainy Thursday evening, Jake's sister had insisted he go on a blind date. He rolled his eyes but submitted, hoping for a moment of reprieve from the board meetings and investor pitches that shadowed him daily. Little did he know, that night would change everything. He met Sarah, a vibrant schoolteacher with kindness spilling from her every word. Their chemistry was instantaneous, like fireworks lighting up the dreary San Francisco sky. Her laughter danced around the tiny cafe, turning mundane conversations into absolute magic. As they swapped stories of their upbringings, Jake found himself captivated by Sarah's passion for her students' children she tirelessly advocated for in a school constantly under threat of budget cuts. It was a world so different from his tech realm, but a sense of belonging tugged at his heart. He'd always strived for success, but now he felt a yearning to contribute to something real, something that transcended tech ladders and financial gains. Their evening was punctuated by dreams shared over steaming mugs of coffee, painting a brighter future for those who needed it most. But as days turned to weeks, Jake's euphoric romance quickly collided with the stark realities of life. News stories filled with the struggles of underfunded schools crept into their conversations, haunting their dreamy discussions. Could he really balance his rise in the tech world while standing steadfastly by Sarah? Each shared laugh was swiftly followed by a whispered worry, a quiet tug-of-war between ambition and love. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The fate of his burgeoning romance hung precariously as he received an invitation to a prestigious tech summit. It was the event that could solidify his status in the industry, thrusting him into the limelight and offering the financial security he had always chased. But as he prepared his speech, Sarah faced her own uphill battle. Funding cuts threatened to erase her dedicated work, casting a shadow over their shared moments of joy. Jake felt the weight of this impending decision pressing down on him like a lead blanket. Could he abandon Sarah and her dream for the allure of immediate success? The question gnawed at him, as painful as nails scraping down a chalkboard. He could feel his mother's voice echoing in his mind, teaching him true success was not measured in dollars but in the love and impact one has on their community. With the future of their love hanging in the balance, Jake stood at a crossroads. Would ambition poison the heart that was slowly learning the real meaning of success? As dawn broke over San Francisco, Jake sat on the edge of his bed, the soft glow of the morning light spilling into the room. His heart raced, the weight of his decision heavy in the air. He envisioned Sarah's smile, the way her eyes sparkled when she spoke about her students. She was fully alive in those moments. But the tech summit loomed larger in his mind, a shimmering beacon of possibility that promised validation and power. He put on a brave face and headed to the office, but every click of his keyboard reminded him of the aching gap in his heart where Sarah's laughter used to dwell. His team buzzed around him, engrossed in pitch rehearsals, brainstorming sessions, and the frenetic energy of tech innovation. Yet Jake found himself lost in thoughts of the classroom where little hands raised for attention, where dreams were not just whispered but fought for earnestly. In the midst of a strategic meeting, he glanced out the window, witnessing a playground bustling with children. They were the same kind of kids Sarah poured her soul into. It was midday, but all he could think of was the late-night calls with her, the passion in her voice as she rattled off plans to help them. As the summit approached, Jake's mind drifted back to a discussion he had with Sarah just last week. She had mentioned a funding initiative at her school, a chance to secure resources for the art program vital to her students. It's not just about funding, it's about their futures, she had said, her eyes wide with hope. Suddenly, a realization washed over him. This was not just about his career, it was about a shared journey. His dreams didn't have to come at the cost of hers. Maybe there was a way to weave both paths together. But how? In a flurry of brainstorms, a new idea took root in his mind. What if he used the platform and influence that came with success to champion causes like Sarah's? His company could hold fundraisers, sponsor school programs, partner with nonprofits. Perhaps he could find a way to fuse his passion for technology with Sarah's dedication to education. Bolstered by inspiration, Jake called his team to outline a new initiative, one that placed community impact at its core, rather than just profit margins. As they rallied over the project, he felt ignited with purpose. But doubt whispered in the back of his mind. Would this be enough? Would Sarah see this as a real contribution, or would she still feel isolated in her mission? That evening, Jake sought out Sarah. They met at their favorite cafe, the place that had sparked their connection. The aroma of roasted coffee mixed with anticipation hung in the air. "Sarah, I want to talk about something important," he began, feeling a rush of nerves. "I've been thinking about how I can help not just with the startup but in areas that matter like your students." She looked up, brow furrowed in curiosity. "You mean it?" she asked, voice thick with emotion. "I do," he said, heart pounding with hope and fear. "I want to use what I have to make a difference. Together." As their eyes locked, Jake felt the stakes rise higher than ever. Could this be the turning point for both of them? But before he could answer, Sarah's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, and her face clouded over with worry. "I have to take this," she said, slipping away to answer. Jake sat there, heart beating faster than before, uncertain of what could happen next. Had he just taken a leap of faith that would either inspire a partnership or fracture them further apart? He could only wait for her to return, lost in the maelstrom of thoughts and emotions. What if this was the moment everything changed, and deep down, he couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge was just beginning. As Sarah stepped away to take the call, Jake watched her, heart racing with an inexplicable mix of hope and anxiety. The cafe buzzed with people, laughter, and the steaming hiss of espresso machines, yet all he could focus on was the distance between them, amplified by her sudden departure. He tried to eavesdrop, straining to catch snippets of her conversation, but their laughter and chatter drowned everything out. Instead, he stared at his coffee cup, tracing the rim with his fingers, thinking about the weight of his offer and the depth of what was at stake. This wasn't just a business deal, it was a call to intertwine their lives, to share burdens and dreams. When Sarah returned, her expression was unreadable. Jake felt his pulse quicken, a soft ache in his chest. "Everything okay?" he asked, searching her face for clarity. "Yeah," she replied, but her voice lacked its usual vibrancy. "Just some worry about the school's budget cuts. They're hitting the art program especially hard." Jake nodded, feeling the familiar pang of empathy. "I was thinking I want to do something about it. Not just for you but for all the kids. Imagine if we raised enough to fund the art program." Her eyes widened, a flicker of hope igniting them. "You're serious?" "Absolutely. I want my company to have more than financial success, I want it to matter." "I want to matter," he admitted, feeling vulnerable yet powerful in his conviction. For a moment, silence hung between them like a thick fog, charged with unspoken thoughts. Then Sarah spoke, her voice a whisper, "Can you really do that?" The doubt in her voice stung, yet Jake felt invigorated. "I can. I will. I'll bring my team together to brainstorm ideas. Fundraisers, a tech showcase for kids, partnerships with local businesses. Whatever it takes." She leaned forward, her expression shifting from skepticism to something deeper, a gratitude that touched him profoundly. "That sounds amazing, Jake. But are you sure you want this? It's a big commitment." "I'm sure. You've shown me what really matters, making a difference in lives, not just numbers. Sarah's gaze softened, and for a fleeting second, everything felt bright. The shadows of his uncertainties danced away, illuminated by their shared vision, but that moment shattered when her phone buzzed again, jolting back her attention. This time, it was a text. She frowned, glancing down. It's the principal. There's a board meeting tonight. They want to discuss the funding cuts. Jake felt a tightening in his chest. You should go. Her lips pressed together, frustration flickering in her eyes. But I want to be here, with you. I thought we had something. We do. And you can't let this opportunity slip by, Sarah. Changing the system takes time, and you're pivotal in that. She hesitated before nodding, biting her lip. You're right. I'll talk to them. But I want to be involved in this with you. Can we revisit our plans after? Of course, he said, feeling a rush of warmth from her sincerity. We'll draw up a roadmap together. As she stood to leave, Jake reached out, wrapping his fingers around her wrist. Don't forget what we talked about. You're not in this alone. Their eyes met, and for an instant, everything else faded: the cafe noise, the uncertainties, the looming summit. Just the two of them, hearts beating in sync with ambition and resolve. Thank you, Jake. It really means the world to me, she whispered, squeezing his hand before stepping back, leaving him with an exhilarating promise that reverberated in his chest. After she disappeared out the door, Jake leaned back in his chair, determination flooding through him. He was more than just a tech CEO, he was part of something bigger. But the moment of clarity was shattered as a nagging thought crept back in. What if he wasn't enough to bridge the gap between their worlds? What if their plans fell flat, leaving them both more alone than ever? With that, the clock ticked louder, and unease washed over him. Tonight, he would face his team, but the real test lay beyond that. Could he convince not only them but also himself that he was more than just a man chasing success? The stakes were climbing, and his heart raced at the thought of what lay ahead. Jake sat in the increasingly crowded cafe, his eyes fixed on the door through which Sarah had just exited. The weight of the conversation hung heavy in the air, thick with potential and uncertainty. He could feel the buzzing energy of the patrons around him, the laughter, the clinking of cups, but all he could concentrate on was the moment they had shared. Raising money for the art program felt like a new goal, but lurking in his mind was the fear that he might fail and let her down. Pushing those thoughts aside, he took a deep breath and glanced at his laptop. He had made a promise, and it was time to put plans into motion. He began to type, scribbling down notes for the meeting with his team. His fingers raced over the keys, the prospect of hope filling him with purpose. Ideas flowed: community events, online campaigns, maybe even inviting local artists to share their creative process with the kids. Just as he was about to finalize his thoughts, his phone buzzed. He picked it up, half expecting a message from Sarah. Instead, it was a group chat notification from his team. We need to talk about our upcoming projects, it read. Jake's heart sank slightly but then soared when he remembered, discussions with his team were where things could take shape. Their collaboration had always sparked incredible ideas. Maybe this would be the moment they could bring Sarah's vision to life. With renewed determination, he replied, "Let's meet tonight. Got a big plan to discuss." The clock on the wall reminded him how fast the hours passed. After dialing in a few more strategies, he decided to head out early, wanting to catch Sarah before the board meeting. He needed to reassure her, to tell her that she wasn't alone in this fight. As he approached the school, nerves twisted in his stomach. This wasn't just about business anymore, it was personal. He could see her through the glass walls of the office, animated yet poised, deep in conversation with a few others. Her passion for her students lit up the room, and Jake felt a surge of admiration. With each step closer, he felt like he was racing against time. The board meeting was imminent. He took a moment, standing outside, leaning against the cool brick wall. Every breath he took was a reminder of how much he wanted this for her, for the kids, for both of them. Finally, mustering up his courage, he pushed the door open, and a warm rush of chatter enveloped him. He spotted Sarah immediately, still unaware of his presence. She turned just as he took a step inside, their eyes locking. The world around them blurred, all he could see was her. "Jake!" she exclaimed, surprise etched across her face. "What are you doing here? I thought you had a meeting." "I do, soon," he replied, but his heart was racing. "But I had to see you first." She glanced at her watch, biting her lip with uncertainty. "I can't lose any more time before the meeting," she whispered, a hint of worry in her eyes. But beneath it all, he recognized hope. "I know, but let me help. I want to be part of this." His voice grabbed her attention. "You matter to me, Sarah, and so does your vision for these kids. We can tackle this together." Her brow furrowed as if weighing his words, the tension palpable. "You mean it?" "Absolutely. I'm all in," Jake said, stepping closer, a bridge spanning the distance that life had placed between them. Tension hung in the air, and just when he thought she might smile, the school principal walked out, clipboard in hand, clapping to grab everyone's attention. "All right, folks, the meeting is about to start." Sarah looked alarmed. The moment was fleeting, and Jake's heart sank. He wanted to tell her that the promise of collaboration was just beginning, but time was slipping away. As she turned to walk towards the meeting room, he called out, "We'll talk more after, I promise." She paused, her silhouette framed against the doorway, eyes sparkling with mixed emotions. "Okay, you're right. Together." And just like that, she stepped inside, leaving him with a flurry of feelings, anticipation swirling around him. Jake clenched his fists, trying to focus on the upcoming meeting. Could he truly bring their combined vision to life? The thought sent waves of excitement and cemented a singular realization: he was ready for this challenge. But as he prepared to enter the fray with his team, a new fear began to surface. What if Sarah's hopes depended on him being something he wasn't yet prepared to be? He took a deep breath, steeling himself. Now was the moment to prove that nothing was impossible once hearts were united, and as the door swung shut behind her, he whispered to himself, "We'll make this happen." But what if that determination led him down a path he never expected, a path that would change everything? Jake paced in the small meeting room, his heart racing faster than a ticking clock. The room, with its faded blue walls, smelled faintly of coffee and old paper. His team filtered in, chuckling and chatting, but he felt like a world apart, his mind still caught in the moment with Sarah. The anticipation of the board meeting was now dampened by the weight of what he had promised her, a team effort unlike any they had attempted before. "Hey, everyone!" he called out, trying to regain their attention. The smiles faded as they turned their focus to him. "Glad you could all make it. We've got something important to discuss." He felt a surge of energy as he laid out the plan he'd drafted earlier. Community events where parents could get involved. Collaborations with local artists who could inspire students firsthand. He watched his team nodding, the excitement in the room growing like a flame. Together, they were brainstorming, but uncertainty loomed over Jake like a dark cloud. Would they be enough to support Sarah's vision? As they bounced ideas off each other, one team member suggested a fundraiser that could involve live performances, art shows featuring student work alongside local artists. Jake leaned back in his chair, a hint of a smile creeping across his face. It was brilliant. "Let us make it happen," Jake exclaimed, enthusiasm bubbling within him. "Let us connect the community to the art program, showcase talent while raising funds." Their murmurs of agreement washed over him like a wave. In that moment, a thought pierced through his exhilaration: every plan, every idea was not merely about raising money. It was about Sarah and the students embracing art as an essential part of their education. This was more than just a job to him, it was about empowering those who had dreams yet to be realized. The meeting wrapped up with a whirlwind of ideas. As the team left, Jake lingered for a moment, a sense of camaraderie lingering in the air. But even among the chaos of excitement, doubt slinked back into his mind. Could they truly achieve this? What if they failed? Returning to his desk, Jake opened his laptop. Messages flooded in from the team, organizing the next steps. But one message caught his eye: "We're counting on you, Jake." It was a simple reminder, but one that struck him deeply. They believed in him. Maybe that was the first step. The buzzing energy in the cafe now felt distant. He realized he hadn't yet reached out to Sarah since the meeting. He could imagine her sitting in the conference room at that moment, prepared to present their shared vision, the same nervous excitement swirling within her. Jake picked up his phone, fingers hovering over the screen. He wanted to wish her luck, to remind her that they were in this together. But what if she had doubts about him? What if she needed more than just words? He hesitated before typing. Just as he hit send, his phone buzzed with an incoming call. It was Sarah's number lighting up his screen. Perfect timing, he whispered to himself, heart pounding anew. "Jake." Her voice burst through, radiating warmth and urgency. "Do you have a minute?" "Always for you," he replied, trying to sound confident even as he felt the butterflies dance in his stomach. "I want to talk about some ideas. I could really use your help." Their conversation flowed, ideas spilling out in a blend of energy and enthusiasm. But amid the brainstorming, Jake could sense the shadows creeping in again. What if she wanted to pull back? What if she needed someone who could promise more than hopeful plans? With every word exchanged, the tension between them crackled like electricity. "So, you're really on board then?" Sarah asked, her voice soft yet piercing, catching him off guard. "Absolutely. Together, we can make something beautiful out of this," he assured her, surprised by the fierceness of his own conviction. The call ended with promises of collaboration and visions that sparked bright within both of them. But deep down, Jake avoided the truth that loomed large. What if his fear of failure overshadowed everything they had built? As he hung up, Jake felt the weight of expectations once again. Tomorrow's meeting would be the true test. What if the answers they sought couldn't just be planned out but lived through risk and vulnerability? He sank back into the chair, breathless, knowing that sometimes loving someone meant stepping into the unknown, and that was the ultimate challenge he had to face. Would he be brave enough to embrace it? The next day dawned with a tense weight hanging over Jake. The sunlight streamed into the office, but it lacked the usual warmth. He felt it now, heavier than ever, the enormity of what he had to face at the board meeting. Determination tugged at him, but anxiety spun tight in his stomach. Would they recognize the potential in Sarah's vision? What if they dismissed it outright? He arrived at the conference room well ahead of schedule, the chairs arranged perfectly around the oval table. Each chair held an unspoken expectation, and he couldn't help but notice how each name on the agenda felt like a stone on his conscience. Minutes passed, stretching like taffy, and every tick of the clock reverberated in his ears. When the members filed in, Jake fought the urge to fidget. They settled, shuffling papers that whispered doubts. One by one, he introduced them to the project they had all been discussing and that had taken root in his heart. "This isn't just about raising funds," he started, his voice steadier than his knees felt. "This is about building a community. It's about art bringing people together, inspiring our students in ways we haven't explored before. This is Sarah's vision, and I believe it can transform everything." He watched as eyes glimmered with skepticism, eyebrows raised, and furrowed brows. But he didn't falter. He leaned into the discomfort, detailing their plans for community events and the collaboration with local artists they had brainstormed together. Just as he spoke about the proposed art shows, a voice interrupted. "Sounds great, Jake. But how do you plan to get parents involved? Will they really care about artists when they have bills to pay?" The question hung in the air, heavy and full of doubt. Jake felt his heart drop but quickly steadied himself. Making art accessible is part of the goal. It's about showing the connection between art and well-being, education, and community pride. When we showcase our students' creativity, we invite parents to experience that pride along with them. More murmured voices followed, questioning the feasibility of each part of the plan, but Jake pressed on, noting each concern like a promise he needed to fulfill. After what felt like hours, it seemed their doubts were softening. He could see nods and pens scratching notes. As Jake wrapped up, he allowed himself a moment of hope maybe they were getting it. Then, he caught a glimpse of Sarah through the glass doors of the conference room. Her presence was magnetizing. She was just outside, talking to someone, her expressions animated. In that moment, she was a reminder of why he was fighting so hard. "Is Sarah coming in for this?" a board member asked. Jake's pulse quickened. Yes, she is an integral part of this vision. Just as he said it, Sarah entered, fresh and full of life, her eyes scanning the room filled with skepticism. Disbelief mixed with curiosity played across the board members' faces. "Hi everyone. Jake's been sharing our ideas," she began, her energy filling the space. "I believe in every student's capacity to create and express. We can make real change together." Her words were like a surge of electricity, invigorating Jake's spirit. But just as the momentum built, a firm voice interrupted, "And what do you have to back this vision, Sarah?" Jake's heart sank as he sensed another wave of doubt crashing down. Every inch of their enthusiasm felt threatened. Would they tear down everything they had worked for? As whispers of skepticism mingled with caution, Jake felt a surge of determination. Could they push through this together? He glanced at Sarah and saw the spark in her eyes flicker just slightly. The doubt began to trap them both. Would they truly be able to breathe life into their dreams, or was this where it all faltered? Jake stepped forward, ready to fight for it all. This was only the beginning. A storm was brewing, thick with opportunity and fear. How far would he go for the love of art and the woman who inspired him? Would he stand and risk everything? In that moment, potential hung in the air, waiting for him to dive in. What would it take to turn doubt into belief when the stakes were as high as they were now? Jake took a breath, chest tightening as he looked at Sarah. She radiated passion, the spark in her eyes still glowing, despite the tension surrounding them. "We have research, testimonials, even pilot programs that show the impact of art on students," she stated, her voice steady. "But what truly backs this vision is us, the belief in what we can create together." Her confidence shifted the atmosphere ever so slightly, like a breeze breaking through the stillness of a stifling room. Jake seized the moment, rallying behind her words. "It's about more than just metrics. We need to inspire these students not just academically but creatively. If we can connect with the parents on that level, we can create a larger ripple effect." One board member crossed his arms, skepticism still visible in his furrowed brow. "I want to believe in this, but where do we find the funding? Without solid numbers, it all sounds idealistic." This was at the tipping point. Jake knew he had to respond, not just for the board, but for Sarah, who poured her heart into every syllable. "What if we showcase the potential first? A community art fair, including students, artists, and parents?" he proposed, his voice gaining strength. "We could lure in sponsors eager to support youth creativity. That could be our launch pad." Sarah's eyes sparkled at the suggestion, and he felt her energy surge as if she were feeding off his enthusiasm. "Exactly. That fair would demonstrate our commitment, our vision in action. It opens a dialogue, not just with parents but with local businesses. It's a step toward showing that art is vital to education." The room shifted. Behind the frowns, Jake caught glimpses of intrigue. He noted the board members' pens moving faster on their notepads, ideas flowing. "We could involve local universities, partner with art organizations, make this a community-wide effort," he added thoughtlessly. The words spilled from him, fueled by hope. "But what if it fails?" This time it was a softer voice, belonging to a woman who had been silent until now. "What happens to our reputation then?" Jake felt the familiar tightening in his stomach. Those words hung heavy, palpable fear shadowing them. He turned his gaze toward Sarah. They needed to confront the risk together. "Sometimes, we need to fail to find out what works," he replied, searching for the right words. If we promote art, we're not just trying to lessen the academic stress, we're creating unity, teaching resilience, and inviting exploration. I've seen burnout in students, we've all felt it in ourselves. This is our chance to counteract that. It might be the risk that defines us. His heart pounded as silence stretched out. He could practically hear the wheels spinning in their heads, the balance shifting. After a few nerve-wracking moments, one board member finally spoke up. Your passion does resonate, but we need to see a detailed plan and a timeline before making any commitments. Jake nodded, allowing a breath of relief to escape. Absolutely. We'll prepare an outline with projected budgets, a timeline, and clear goals. No stone will be left unturned. Sarah's shoulder brushed against his as she leaned in closer, and he felt her support, her strength. As the meeting began to wrap up, a flicker of hope ignited in Jake's chest. Perhaps this was the breakthrough they needed. The door to possibility had creaked open just a little, but just then, another board member raised a hand, looking uncomfortable. Jake, can we talk personally for a moment after this? I have some concerns. The words were like ice water splashed over him. What did she mean? Did his resolve waver now? As acknowledgement flickered in the air, Jake felt uncertainty creep back into his mind. That he looked down at the table, feeling caught between anticipation and dread. Would this be another roadblock? Or could it lead him to clarity? With everything on the line, including Sarah's vision and their growing bond, this moment could change everything. What lay beneath the surface? Was their quest for creativity and connection destined for triumph, or would it meet resistance in unexpected places? The boardroom emptied slowly, the air thick with tension. Jake caught a few murmurs as colleagues filed out, some exchanging glances that spoke volumes. Sarah lingered for a moment, her eyes darting between Jake and the board member who had requested the private conversation. He gave her a half-hearted smile, trying to mask his worry. Should I be worried? She asked, crossing her arms protectively. Jake shook his head, though doubt lingered in the back of his mind. No, I hope it's just a formality. As he spoke, he couldn't help but feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. The late afternoon light filtered through the glass windows, casting a warm glow that contrasted sharply with the anxiety that settled in his stomach. When the last few board members had filed out, the woman who had raised her hand during the meeting approached him. Jake, she started, her voice softening. I didn't mean to sound harsh. I just think we need to be realistic. He nodded, urging his heart to calm. I get it. Everyone's worried about failure. But this is bigger than business. It's about the kids, their futures. True, she conceded, brushing a few stray hairs behind her ear. But what if we take on too much too fast? The funding, the volunteers, it's a lot to handle. Jake felt a surge of frustration. It's a risk we have to take, or nothing will ever change. But what if? Can you see the bigger picture? This isn't just an art fair. It's a chance for these kids to express themselves, to find their passion. We owe it to them. She paused, her eyes narrowing slightly as she weighed his words. I do see the potential, but if we fail, the unspoken fear hung between them, thick enough to choke on. If we fail, then we learn. That's what this is about. We can't let fear stop us from trying. As he spoke, a fire ignited within him, fueled by memories of students he'd seen struggle and flounder. You believe in them, don't you? Jake nodded, making eye contact. With everything in me. A rare smile broke across her face, softening her features. Okay, let us see how we can make this happen. I can talk to some of the other board members, maybe get some early support lined up. Her support felt like a lifeline, but Jake knew this was only the beginning. Thank you. That means more than you know. As they wrapped up the conversation, Josh, the supervisor from the finance department, approached. His presence instantly shifted the mood. You two plotting world domination? He smirked. Just convincing them to believe in art, Jake replied, trying to keep the atmosphere light. Good luck with that, Josh chuckled but his brows furrowed. But seriously, Jake, if you need help with the funding projections, let me know. I can sift through some numbers for you. Jake's heart lifted. I'll take you up on that. Thanks, Josh. As the trio wrapped up their discussion and wandered out of the now quiet room, Jake felt a surge of momentum. The day had started with tension, but it was ending with an undercurrent of hope. He turned to Sarah, who was tapping her fingers on the table, her brow slightly furrowed. You okay? Yeah, she said softly, but her gaze drifted. I just can't shake the feeling that we're stepping into something big. Something that could change a lot more than our school. Exactly. We just need to harness that momentum, Jake encouraged, his voice filled with resolve. The spark in her eyes returned, and Jake felt both the pressure and the excitement building between them. But as they gathered their things to leave, another thought struck him: was this newfound energy sustainable? Could they keep it alive in the face of skepticism? As they walked out, the sun dipping lower in the sky, he felt a mix of excitement and trepidation echo deep within him. Just what lay ahead remained unknown, each step an invitation for change. Could they truly protect the vision they had ignited? The doubts lingered, as heavy as the promises they had just made to each other. As the last rays of sunlight slipped beneath the horizon, the parking lot buzzed with the sounds of car doors slamming and the chatter of colleagues dispersing. Jake and Sarah stepped out into the cool evening air. The vibrant colors of the sunset painted the sky, yet the looming uncertainty cast a shadow over the beautiful view. Want to grab a bite? Sarah suggested, leaning against the car. There was a hint of hesitation in her voice, like she wasn't sure what to say next. Sure, I could use a break, Jake replied, grateful for the distraction. He needed to focus on something other than the bored's hesitations or his own bubbling anxiety. They chose a small diner nearby, its neon sign flickering invitingly in the dim light. Once inside, the familiar scent of greasy fries and fresh coffee enveloped them, creating an oddly comforting atmosphere amid the chaos in Jake's mind. So, what's your plan now? Sarah asked between sips of her soda, her inquisitive eyes probing for answers. With the project, I mean. Jake sighed, pushing the straw back into his drink as he considered the question. Honestly? I don't know. I want to keep up the momentum. I think if we can get a few key players on board, we might spark a movement. His voice grew steadier as he spoke, confidence seeping back into his words. And if they don't? She pressed, her brow knitting. The unease was palpable again. I guess we push harder. We find a way. There has to be someone out there who sees the same vision, he muttered, frustration creeping into his tone. Why is it so hard for them to see what these kids really need? Before Sarah could respond, a commotion at the booth behind them caught their attention. A group of teenagers was laughing energetically, their infectious enthusiasm filling the diner. It made Jake's heart ache for the kids he aimed to help. Look at them, he pointed, unable to take his eyes off the laughter. They're full of possibilities, all of them. If just one of those kids finds support, it could change their whole life. A soft smile broke from Sarah's lips as she followed his gaze. You really do care about them, don't you? More than you know. It was never just about art, it's about creating a safe space for them. Somewhere they can explore, fail, and try again without judgment. He was passionate, words spilling out faster, intense and eager. Their food arrived, and while they picked at their plates, the tension slowly ebbed. But Jake felt it still lurking in the shadows, a persistent whisper nagging at him. What if their courage wasn't enough? As they finished up, Sarah leaned back in her seat, a thoughtful expression crossing her face. Jake, I can't shake this feeling. What if we really do change things? What if this challenges everything we, or they, have ever known? A thrill shot through him, electrifying and frightening all at once. That's the idea, isn't it? To push boundaries? Yes, but also to be prepared for what that could mean. Success or failure. They go hand in hand. Her eyes locked onto his, sincere and serious, the weight of her words pressed heavily on them, and Jake nodded slowly. She was right, he needed to be ready for everything. As they stepped outside, the chill of the evening air wrapped around them. Something shifted, it felt like a new chapter was beginning, one rife with possibilities, but equally steeped in uncertainty. "Let us do this," Jake finally said, determination sparking anew. "We won't just hope for change. We'll create it." With her agreeing smile, they turned to walk toward their cars, but an unexpected sound halted them. An old, familiar tune drifted out from the diner, the music carrying memories of laughter and heartache. "Do you hear that?" Jake paused, listening closely. The lyrics echoed the very essence of uncertainty and hope intertwined, almost like a warning of the storm ahead. "Yeah," Sarah responded, a knowing look on her face. "I guess now we'll find out what we're really made of." As they got into their cars, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that the road ahead was fraught with challenges he hadn't even begun to imagine. What lay beneath the surface of their dreams? The question lingered like a faint echo, leaving them both wondering how far they were willing to go to find out. Would they rise to the occasion, or would they falter when it mattered most? The next few weeks flew by like a whirlwind, filled with planning sessions, frantic phone calls, and sleepless nights. Jake and Sarah worked tirelessly, their visions for the art program transforming into tangible plans. They harnessed the energy of the community, gathering volunteers who believed in the mission as passionately as they did. One evening, they stood in front of a crowd at the community center, excitement buzzing in the air. A poster with colorful illustrations of students' artwork adorned the stage behind them. The atmosphere crackled with enthusiasm. Families filled the seats, anticipation radiating as they sensed a change brewing in their hearts. "Tonight is about our kids," Jake said, his voice resonating firmly through the microphone. "It's about giving them the chance to be heard, to express themselves in ways we never thought possible." His words reverberated throughout the room, fueling a fire in the hearts of everyone present. Sarah took the stage next. "With your support, we can transform our schools and show our children the power of creativity. Whether it's through art, music, or performance, we are going to create a safe space where they belong." As the crowd applauded, Jake glanced over at Sarah, her eyes sparkling with determination. He felt thankful, knowing that their journey was intertwined, their dreams larger than they ever anticipated. Weeks turned into months, and their initiative, the Community Art Fair, was officially in the works. Though their path remained unraveled with uncertainty, they relentlessly moved forward, fueled by resilience and a shared dream. Facing every setback, they leaned on each other, their bond growing deeper, richer, as they fought for every single child who deserved a chance. Then, the evening of the art fair arrived, magical and alive. The sound of music drifted through the air, laughter replaced anxiety. Students displayed their projects proudly, showcasing their creativity, while families reveled in the community atmosphere they had created. Jake and Sarah exchanged glances, unable to contain their pride as they observed the fruits of their labor blossom before them. Kids ran around, their faces painted and wearing bright smiles, the very picture of hope and imagination they had fought to nurture. As the sun dipped beneath the horizon, a cool breeze flowed through the gathering, transitioning from day to night. Jake took a deep breath, soaking in the moment, a moment that encapsulated everything they had worked for, every sacrifice. "Look at them, Sarah," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "This is what it's all about." Tears glimmered in her eyes. "It really is. They're thriving. We did this together." Suddenly, a child approached them, a small, shy girl with paint-stained hands and big hopeful eyes. "Thank you for this," she said softly, holding out a drawing she had made. It was a vibrant scene of a school filled with students learning and laughing. Jake knelt to her level. "You captured it perfectly. This is what we want for every child, to be seen, to be heard." The girl smiled wide, and in that simple moment, Jake and Sarah realized the impact of their love, their partnership, and their fight for the future. As the night deepened, they moved through the fair, sharing hugs, high fives, and laughter with the families they had touched. Surrounded by the warmth and connection they had created, they felt their hearts swell with fulfillment, pride, and love. Each step Jake took beside Sarah cemented their bond in a way he never thought possible. She had unlocked something within him, a new purpose, not driven solely by ambition but by the desire to uplift others. Later that evening, as the stars shimmered above, Jake pulled Sarah aside. "This is our beginning, isn't it?" he whispered, the sounds of joy in the background muffling away. "Yes, it is," she replied, a radiant smile gracing her lips. "Together, we have created a movement." "Together," he echoed, leaning closer. "And I want to keep creating with you." Their hearts intertwined, they shared a brief, electric moment, a shared understanding that life's greatest adventure was the one they had embarked on together. Months later, standing at the forefront of a newly funded program in the school, they celebrated the expansion of art initiatives where every child could create freely and share their genius with the world. Each success echoed the realization of their dreams. Life would always present challenges, but the essence of love, community, and purpose would guide their way. In each other, they found not just partners in work, but kindred spirits. And above all, together, they had learned that the true measure of success wasn't just in personal ambition, but in lifting others as they soared. As they gazed into the bright future ahead, they knew, barriers were meant to be broken, and beneath the starry sky, hand in hand, they set forth to create, to inspire, and to love deeper, transforming lives one day at a time. You need to subscribe now, because this is the moment to support the channel and catch every exclusive story we have coming. Leave a like now to help us reach even more hearts with our journey. Comment with your reactions, what resonated with you from this ending, and who you think has the most inspiring transformation. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel the power of love and community. Your support makes a difference.